Blog Talk Radio.
Hello everyone, this is Laurie Smith on Blog Talk Radio. Good evening. It is 9:30 p.m. here in Calgary, Alberta, and I'm just happy to be here. This is Child Abuse Prevention and Human Rights Abuse Prevention is Up to Us. It's a 30-minute live internet streaming radio broadcast from blogtalkradio.com. I have my chat room open if you'd like to go and sit in there, and we're just going to continue on here. I was talking all last week, on Monday night and Friday night last week, and certain nights last week about the Child Abuse Handbook compiled by Donna Shear and Sandra Potter of Dreamcatchers for Abused Children. This is a free PDF download, and anyone can get a hold of a copy. It's free, and really, it's. I would hope everyone would get a copy and read it, because it's got all the signs and symptoms of the different types of child abuse. It has stats, statistics. It talks a lot about why children do disclose abuse, why they don't disclose abuse. They compile this information from some really awesome resources, and they have they list their resources that they used, and it's really some good information. It's really good for people who work with children, daycare workers or teachers or anyone who actually works with children, so that they can know the signs and symptoms of all the different types of child abuse, how to report it. There's all kinds of references and resources listed in this PDF download, and it's great. So we've already been through most of it. We're actually just finishing up the last part of it, so I'm glad that you can be here. And so we're going to continue on with that. This is, I always say this on every show. I'm not a professional counselor or therapist. I don't hold any counseling certificates or anything like that. I'm just a person who pays to do my own blog talk show. I'm a child rights advocate. I stand up for children's rights, trying to save children's lives, and I stand up against child abuse. And so, I like to bring out information that I find that I think is very useful and important for people to know, as I'm researching all the time, because I'm in between courses studying international community development, child rights, and whatnot. And so, I'm still studying, even though I'm not enrolled in any classes right now because I can't afford to go. But I'm still studying, so I'm still, researching all the time, getting information. I'm also the Canada Regional Director for Dreamcatchers for Abused Children, a volunteer position, which I'm happy to be able to do. It's an honor and a privilege, really. And just to get the word out to people, and promote awareness, education, and prevention of child abuse. So that's why I do these shows, and it's just so important that everyone get involved. I just wanted to really be one more voice out there, and to add to everyone else's voices who were already out there. And so that's the whole thing. I just wanted to back them up with my voice and say, you know what, yes, we all need to get involved. We all need to raise our voices and protect children. They cannot protect themselves. That's the whole issue. So we need to do it for them, and we need to stand up for them and make sure that their rights are intact, and that they do get to keep their child rights. Child rights are human rights, and I study human rights. And it's so important that people realize that children do have rights. They have the right to life and the right to a good life, to protection, to shelter, provision, loving, growing up in a loving, caring home, all the rights to education, to health care, to all of this stuff. People concentrate a lot on child rights with children around the world, which I do too, because I'm very much interested in worldwide child rights. But the whole issue is in North America, children have rights too. So every time you see an article in the paper about a child being abused, that child's rights have been taken away. That's a human rights abuse. It should be acted upon as if it was a human rights abuse, and should be treated like that, because it is a human rights abuse, and these children are losing their lives at the hands of their parents and caregivers. So that's the whole issue. I'd like to see, a lot stronger sentencing. You do the crime, you're going to do the time. I'd like to see sentences that are actually appropriate for the types of crimes that these people are committing against these children. And, unless we actually start talking about it, nothing's going to be done. And I also want to see some new programs coming in, and Dreamcatchers for Abused Children has lots of new programs that are going to be rolling out, hopefully this summer, and some are actually started, but we're planning on really getting involved nationwide, actually, in the United States, and then hopefully in Canada, and maybe even around the world at some point. But we do have some great programs coming out, and they will definitely have a direct positive effect on children's lives, and it will definitely help to promote and to stop child abuse, So we're looking at the whole thing as a whole, to help the family, to help the children, peer-to-peer, family-to-family, helping children who have already been abused, which is really sad because what we're trying to do is stop abuse before it happens. That's the whole issue with primary prevention. It's very important that people get on the bandwagon and support your local community, groups that are doing work in your local areas who are stopping and preventing child abuse, right? It's so important that we stop abuse before it happens. We don't want to have to go behind and try to heal this child and try to help this child. What we want to do is help this child to not be abused so that they don't have to live a lifetime of horror and trying to get over the abuse that they suffered, and if they're not killed at the hands of their parents and caregivers. That's the whole issue. So this PDF download is just awesome, and I hope everybody will get it. You can get it from the website, www.dreamcatchersforabusedchildren.com, and or lulu.com, Sheeran Potter Books. And you can, it's a free download, so you just takes a minute. You can download it right onto your computer, and you can have a copy of it. And we went through it, most of it. We're actually on the last page or two of this actual PDF download. And we were looking at protection. And, by the way, I always ask people, children under the age of 18, especially young children, that they would have permission to listen to my show, because I'm fighting to save children's lives, and I'm fighting to stand up for children's rights and the protection and safety of children. And, if you're a young person listening to the show, I would really hope that you'd have someone to okay it and give you permission that you can listen to the show. There's a lot of adult content on here, that's why. And I believe that children should be protected in every instance. I don't know where these players are and what websites they're placed on. So, get approval from an adult, someone in your life that cares about what you're doing and who will sort of listen to an archive and see if it's something that you should be listening to. And then they can tell you whether or not that it's okay for you to listen to it, right? And that's just so important. You do yourself a favor and keep yourself safe online, and get the information on how to keep yourself safe online. This is so important. We're trying to save children's lives and save children from becoming victimized by child sexual predators and pedophiles and whatnot that are out there trying to get a hold of children. So this is the whole issue. You want to make sure that you keep yourself safe when you're online. And you should have someone knowing what you're doing online at all times to keep yourself safe. You could save your friends' lives too if you tell them that and pass on the information. Just type into your internet browser, internet safety, child online safety, child internet safety. It'll bring up all kinds of websites with all kinds of good information on there. And the FBI has a great website regarding internet safety, and I've checked it out a few times, and it's an awesome website regarding internet safety and how to stay safe online. So important. So we're going to finish looking at this PDF here, the Child Abuse Handbook. It's compiled by Donna Shear and Sandra Potter from Dreamcatchers for Abused Children. And Donna Shear, she's the president of Dreamcatchers for Abused Children. Sandra Potter is the CEO and founder of Dreamcatchers for Abused Children. And they compiled the information, put it all together in a handbook, the Child Abuse Handbook. So we went through almost all of it already, and we covered everything from statistics, what is child abuse, how to report it, intervention, and now we're looking at protection. And it says, I'll just read right from the page. It says, don't just worry about your children, arm them with information. It says there are steps that every parent can take to keep their child safe. First of all, listen to your child. I just threw that in there. Number one, listen to your child. Child abusers often use a legitimate activity to trick the child into performing a sex act. It says, be aware that sex abusers carefully choose their victims. They often look for a needy child or a troublemaker who is easily discredited if he or she says anything about it, right? It says, at the doctor's office, insist that another adult, you or a nurse, remain with your child in the exam room at all times. That's very important, because we are seeing lots of reports coming out in the paper over the last year or two where doctors are being found with, hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of child pornography images, and you just wonder how they got those and whether or not it's your child who visited this doctor who took pornographic photographs of your child. This is the whole issue. You cannot just leave your child with anybody. It doesn't matter if they look trustworthy or not, because the whole issue is that the old stereotype of who would abuse a child, child sexual predators. People often think of them as being people just waiting around in the alley with dark, black trench coats and a hat and looking kind of suspicious, right, and hanging around in the dark. That's just not a true, clear picture of what a child sexual predator or a pedophile or, these people look like. They are your neighbors. They drive fancy cars. They have good jobs. They probably look really sharp and have nice haircuts, and they probably want to befriend you and your family, and quite often they will try to make friends with you and become your best friend, and that way they can watch your children and you'll trust them, and then eventually you'll have an errand to run and you'll say, oh yeah, can you watch my child for a couple hours, I'll be right back. And that person is a child sexual predator, and they will molest your child or sexually abuse them in some way. So that's the whole issue. Abusers are just people next door to us, and 1 in 3 girls, 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused in some way, whether it's just unwanted sexual touching or sexual molestation. But 1 in 3 girls, 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused under the age of 18. So if that gives you any indication, if you have 10 neighbors, you can figure that 1 of them or 2 or 3 is probably a child sexual predator of some sort, or some sort of pedophile. So doesn't mean you have to go around, scrutinizing all of your neighbors. What it does mean is you have to know what to look out for, and you have to be aware that these people are out there, and they could live on your own block, and they could have access to your child, and you do not want to leave your child with just anyone. You have to know who these people are. Even family members, actually, 90% of all abuse, whether it's sexual, physical, verbal, emotional, is done by a family member. So it's generally somebody the child knows, and that includes sexual abuse. The other 10% is family friend or stranger or something, or a child sexual predator. So it's almost always the family who is abusing these children, because who else would be, right? It's whoever has access to the child. So whoever has access to your child, they could abuse your child. Anyone can be an abuser. So the whole issue is to know who your child is with and make sure and take the extra precautionary steps to protect your children, right? That's the whole issue. And it says here, encourage your child to inform you of any person or any situation that makes them feel uncomfortable, right? And so you want your kids to know that they can come to you to tell you anything, and that you would not be mad, and that you would not hurt them if they told you something, and that they have to be able to trust you as their parents or caregivers, that you would that you're not going to harm them if they come and tell you something. And they need to know that they can come to you to tell you anything, right? To trust you to be able to tell you anything. And it says, explain to your child to never be alone with anyone they do not know or are not comfortable with, or who hurts them. So that's the whole issue. They did say, in lots of stats, there's lots of stats out there regarding all of this, and they did say that if you can limit the situations of one adult, one child contact, we can really eliminate a lot of child sexual abuse and child abuse, period. Because it's generally with one child and one adult when this sort of thing happens. Sometimes it's 2 adults, or 1 adult, 2 children, but it's more likely a 1 adult, 1 child situation. And so that's why they said, if you can limit that, then your chances are better that your child would not be abused sexually or in any other way. So that's why it's important to know where your children are every day, all day, right? It says, tell them it's okay to tell. Instruct them that to tell an adult they trust, and tell them what is happening. And it says, check the National Child Abuse Sex Offender Registries. The Family Watchdog is also a wonderful tool for any parent to use. It says, know who your child is with at all times and where your child is. And be familiar with who your child is hanging out with: friends, coaches, teachers, music, band, sports instructors, church members, etc. Really, you have to be diligent. Church members abuse children sexually too. There's a whole lot of that going on. It's all covered up behind church walls and doctrines, but the whole issue is it's happening. And so do coaches, and so do anyone who has access to a child has the potential to abuse them. So that's why, this is a sick world, and unfortunately you can't just you just can't allow your children to just be children and enjoy themselves and have fun, because you got all these sick perverts out here trying to get a hold of your kids. But you know what? It's a fact. And just to deny it and just say, oh, it would never happen in my neighborhood, or, oh, that would never happen to my child, you're setting yourself up for a huge fall. You're setting your child up for a huge, victimization from a child sexual predator. You cannot bury your head in the sand any longer, unless you just want to be one of those people that's a statistic. If you want to be a statistic, well, go ahead and bury your head in the sand. This is happening whether people want to admit it or not. And there's lots and lots of teachers out there now who are sexually abusing children. I don't know, they probably always were out there, but now they're getting, the reports are coming out into the news. But generally teachers, when they are caught sexually abusing a child, they generally just end up getting moved off to another school district across the country, and that's a fact. We do a lot of research, and I do a lot of research, and This is general public knowledge. It's out there on the web. Anyone can find it. Anyone can see it. It's news reports coming in newspapers, on the television, different places like that. These are convicted predators. We're not talking about people who are charged. We're talking about convicted, guilty people who don't serve any time and end up just moving to another school, relocating them to another school, and they continue to abuse children in the other schools. This is really going on, and so this is a huge issue because, you think you should be able to trust a teacher. They work with children, and you think that'd be the last thing that they would want to do is hurt your child or hurt a child and abuse them and use them in whatever way that they would, but it's just not the case, and that's the problem. We know there's a lot of sick people out there doing a lot of sick things, and they think it's perfectly okay. They think it's okay to do this stuff to your child, and they have no problem doing it. And who pays the price? The child does, every single time. So that's the issue, right? We have to protect our children. I don't have any children, but if I did, let me tell you what, I'd be on top of it because I know what's going on out there. You know what I mean? Because I'm aware, because I pay attention. And if anybody else would just pay attention too and read some of these headlines and see what's actually happening, you would see and know what is going on out there. So important. It says, be familiar with who your child's hanging out with. Okay, monitor your child's internet use. That's another big one, and that's also on the FBI's website, to monitor your child's internet use. You really have to, because it's just a fact that your child will probably be groomed by someone. There's 750,000 child sexual predators online at any given time. And so, the chances of your child running into one at some point is very probable. And if they don't know how to keep themselves safe and how to not give out their real name, their address, telephone number, what school they go to, what they like to do, start giving away a lot of personal information. Parents are not home this time of day, blah, blah, blah. Before you know it, that child's going to be assaulted and, or killed, which you don't want to have happen to your child. So you need to get the education, get the information, and learn how to keep your child safe and how to keep yourself safe. And also teach your child how to protect themselves too. They need to know also, because it's not good enough just that you would do it and you don't have to speak to your child about it. The children need to know that this is going on, all age appropriate, of course, but at certain points in their life when they're grown to a certain age and they can comprehend certain things because they're able to understand it, that's when you need to start talking to them, you know what I mean? Because this is happening and you don't want it to happen to your child. So it says, educate your child. Make sure they are familiar with stranger danger and sexual predators. And monitor the actions of adults around all children. Always trust your gut. And educate your child really about, good touch, bad touch, and all that. And you can find that on lots of different websites. The whole, books on good touch, bad touch, and different books like that teach children age appropriately how to recognize when someone is actually trying to sexually molest them or trying to touch them sexually, and they'll know that it's wrong. If you don't teach them, and an adult tells them that it's okay, and they didn't know that it was okay, then the child won't know there's anything wrong with it. They'll think it's fun, or they'll think it's a game, or for a little while, right? The whole issue is that it's incredibly wrong what's going on out there, and people are, mainly family members, are abusing their children sexually. And it's really sad when people have to wake up and smell the coffee and find out that it's, a family member, whether it's grandpa or grandma, Aunt Joni, or, Uncle Joe, could be a brother, could be a sibling, you know what I mean? This is happening. And sadly enough, 90% it's the family. So get the education, you know what I mean? Save your children from a lifetime of horror and problems of trying to deal with this stuff as an adult survivor. And $104 billion annually spent because of child abuse, right? Just in the United States. That does not include Canada and other countries around the world. $104 billion spent because of child abuse. I mean, it'd be better to spend that $104 billion to try to prevent it and to protect children. But, we can't have a video camera in everybody's house, unfortunately, videotaping them while they're interacting with their children. It's unfortunate because I really wish that we could, because that's where it's all happening. It's in the home. It's in our schools and it's anywhere where the children are. But the thing is most of it's in the home, and it's mostly the parents or a family member. And that's the sad part. It's a reality, and it's something that everybody needs to wake up to and smell the coffee. And we need to do something about this. Really what we need to do is help fix some of these problems that are going on in society. To fix this whole issue of child abuse, you have to really fix the family unit as a whole, because that's the issue. It all stems from people's sicknesses, mental illnesses, substance abuse, the inabilities to cope, young parents not ready for parenthood, older people having children not able to cope, a lot of mental issues, right, that are not addressed, and people just don't get help, and so they end up hurting their children. And then when they lose them, they're crying the blues. Well, too bad. You know what I mean? You can not treat your child right, then you don't deserve to have them, and that's the way it goes. So, this is a huge problem. But you know what? If we don't try to fix it, and we're not the generation that's going to stand up and say, you know what, we're doing it, we are fixing this, then we're never going to see a better tomorrow for these children. And it'll just continue on and on, because, you know what I mean? Like, I keep saying this on my shows, but it's so true. Like, if we want to see a better tomorrow, then we have to start working on the problems today and fix them today if we want to see a better tomorrow. So if we want children to have a good future and to have a good, a good world to live in, you know what I mean, after we're gone, we're going to have to start working on these problems now. We just can't leave it up to the next generation, right? Oh, well, it's not our problem. It is our problem. It's a big problem. And I hope everybody listens to what I'm saying here tonight and pays big time attention to it. You know what I mean? I have a life too, and I still like to go out and have fun and stuff, and I love to watch movies and hang out. But when I do, and I'm sitting there and I'm hanging out and I'm watching movies, and I'm thinking, man, children are dying right now. And it's really my mission to help get the word out that we really have to all stand together to make this happen. It can't just be one or two groups. It can't be just one or two organizations. It's really going to take everyone. And so Dreamcatchers will go nationwide, and it will. Dreamcatchers for Abused Children is going nationwide, and it's going worldwide eventually. And it really is worldwide now because it's on the web, and people can access the material if they would like to get brochures, and if they need any kind of information that we can possibly direct them to. We know the only thing that we cannot do is give legal advice and things like that. But you can check our website out to see just what kind of resources you can access through Dreamcatchers for Abused Children, and it will be eventually so much more solid and so much more out there for children, you know what I mean? But right now it's a primary prevention, and that is to get the word out, you know what I mean? Because it's so important. If you don't talk about, silence is the issue, right? If we don't talk about child abuse, it'll just continue to be swept under the carpet. Thank God for the TV stations and the newspapers that started reporting child abuse and actually saying, we don't care, we're reporting it. Because, for so long, it was not even allowed to be on TV. There was no mention of child abuse, even though, millions of children were being abused. Nobody wanted to hear about it. But now we have groups of people that are saying, no, you know what, we need to let the public know. This is happening and this is wrong. And so that's precisely why I'm doing what I'm doing, and why Dreamcatchers for Abused Children is doing what they're doing, and why so many other advocates out there that I know personally are doing what they're doing. Because if we don't change this situation and break the silence regarding child abuse, it's never going to change. And, we have to do something now, because children are dying right now. And 5 children die every day as a result of child abuse from their parents and caregivers. And many, 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 many more end up in the hospital due to abuse-related injuries. And so, and some of these abuse-related injuries we're talking severe head trauma. The child will never be able to walk. They'll never be able to talk. Shaken baby syndrome. We're talking severe abuse, right? We're not talking, we're not talking something minor here. This is very serious, and so that's the whole issue. They're being maimed and tortured. We're not talking somebody, disciplining their child, giving them a little spanking. We're talking abuse. They're being horrifically tortured and maimed, you know what I mean? And if they survive that, they're going to have a lifetime of problems to deal with. And you know what? And they're probably going to sit back and say, why did somebody not help? Why did not somebody help me? You know what I mean? And that's the whole issue, right? And we're going to have to sit back and say, well, because we were too busy watching TV, I had to catch my show, you know what I mean? Or I had to do this, or I had to do that. What's more important than a child? There's nothing on this planet worth more than a child. And I don't care. I will disagree with anybody that says differently, in my opinion. But To me, children are the world because they are the future. They are the upcoming future. They are the next set of adults, you know what I mean? And so they deserve the chance to have a good life. And if we don't do something to stand up for them, you know what I mean, and make a change here, this is then really we're going to have to hang our heads in shame because we're just, useless then. We have a voice. We can make difference. We can change the way this whole system works, and that's what we need. We need new people coming in, and that's why Dreamcatchers for Abused Children is so important because it's new ideas. It's new. This is what we need. More think tanks, more groups of people who are sitting around thinking, what can we do that's going to work? Because what you do is you take a look around at what's not working, and then you don't follow that, right? You try other things, and you see what's working. And if it's working, then you go with it. And that's what we're doing. So I would hope everybody would get involved and jump in somewhere, wherever you see something working in your own community, something that's really making a difference and helping children and helping to save the lives of children. That's what you support. You know what I mean? And there's good groups out there making a difference. You better believe it. And Dreamcatchers for Abused Children is just one more. And that's what we need. We need millions of these groups coming up, you know what I mean? Because just think about it, there's 60 million survivors of child sexual abuse in the United States alone right now. And that stat's old, so there might be probably more now, I wouldn't doubt it, because child sexual predators and child sexual abuse is so common now. It's just common. It's sort of, people just don't think twice about it. You see something in the paper, a man rapes his daughter, it's like, oh well, just another man raping his daughter. That's how sick this world is, that people aren't outraged by that, completely outraged. I know I am. But the thing is instead of just getting mad and ranting and raving, I'm going to get proactive and get something done. You know what I mean? There's a whole lot of people sitting around griping and complaining. That doesn't do any good. But what really does good is getting involved with groups who are making a difference and who are doing some good work, and that's what you got to support, because that's what's making a difference, right? We can all sit around and complain all we want, but that won't change anything. But getting education out will, getting awareness out will, and getting out, helping organizations that are making a difference will help, right? Looking around in your own life to see if the children in your own world are safe and protected, that's another thing that will extremely help the situation. That might solve it right there. If everybody was taking a look around at the children in their own lives, we might be able to solve a lot of child abuse cases before they even get too serious, and then the child could get some help, the family could get some help. But it's so overwhelming that, right now in Texas, there's a city in Texas, I forget whether it's, Dallas, Fort Worth, I'm not sure, but there was an article that came out about 3 weeks ago, and it was quite interesting, and it was about this, the fact that this one city has so many children that have been abused on this waiting list to receive help, that they can't even get to them because it's such a huge waiting list that they figure they'll have to wait for a year before they get any help. I mean, that's crazy. That just tells you how many kids are being abused. So what's the matter with these parents and these caregivers? Are they just completely losing their minds? You know what I mean? Just lashing out at their children? I don't care. You can't blame it on the economy. You can't blame it on the 60s. You can't blame it on, it was just too warm that day and I just couldn't help myself. There's no excuse for that. So we have to stop excusing these people away and start putting them away and start helping these children, because this is seriously wrong and something's got to be done. So we have about a minute left. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I hope you will get a copy of that PDF download, the Child Abuse Handbook, www.dreamcatchersorabusedchildren.com, or on Lulu. So you can either hit the link on our domain website, or you can catch you can get it from Lulu at Shear and Potter Books. And I'm telling you, it's great. And you should see the other books that Donna Shear has written and Sandra Potter has co-written with Donna Shear. Donna Shear is a best-selling author. She's also the president of Dreamcatchers for Abused Children. She writes for many papers around the country in the United States. She's a prolific writer, and she's very good. And so she's awesome. So you need to check her books out. I've read 2 of them now, and they're just awesome. She's a very good writer, and she's doing this all to stop child abuse. So this is the whole issue, right? You want to check out the books that they've written and co-written together. And they also have books for kids. That's Donna Shear's latest books for kids. And there's just so much good stuff. I hope that you will check out our website and just get involved and join us. Get involved. Become a volunteer. You know what I mean? Pass around, share around our links and share around our information and get the word out that we are here and we're not going away because we want to help save children's lives. And I hope that you will join us and help save children's lives as well here in North America. You know what I mean? I love to help the world too, but we need to help people here too. And so I'm all for helping everybody, but I'm so happy to be involved nationally and internationally. It's great. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a great night. Tomorrow night, you want to check out Dreamcatchers for Abused Children's Dreamcatchers Talk Radio on blogtalkradio.com, and that's 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Elizabeth Roberts-Brawley, and that's www.blogtalkradio.com/Dreamcatchers, and you can catch her show tomorrow night. I'll probably be in the chat room. That's Thursday night. Friday night, my show, that's not my show, but Donna Shear and myself will be on 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Dreamcatchers Talk Radio, talking about my book, A Life of Death, The Redemption, and all questions and comments are welcome. I'll be talking candidly with Donna Shear. She's going to ask me some questions, kind of like a little interview, and I'm more than happy to talk about my book, and I hope that you will be there. It's going to be an hour-long program, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and of course I'll be on tomorrow with 6 o'clock a.m. for One Child Abuse Survivor to Another, and I hope you will join me then if you're up and awake and everything, and otherwise just have a great night, everybody. Take care of yourselves. I really appreciate you tuning in. I have almost 5,500 shows listened to now, and I tell you what, I can't thank you enough for being here with me and just being part of my life and to help make a difference for children, right? Thank you so much for everything that you're doing, and I really appreciate it. I'm keeping you all in my heart. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.